Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. This is for anyone who is planning a wedding. Maybe it's somebody you know, maybe somebody you're close to, and you're considering a wedding in Hawaii. Paradise. Let's go over a lot of those things, what to expect, what you can add to your ceremony, things to look out for. She's got all that insight. She's been doing this for years, has facilitated, ordained the weddings of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of couples. Why? Because she's good. People seek her out. Simple Kona Beach Weddings. She is our professional of the year. Becky Ringler is back with us. How are you doing today?
I am great, Steve. And you may have heard, but we are also in the middle of this big storm that is happening right now. So it's kind of I'm well. We have been very, very lucky, is what I will say, in terms of the storm. I kind of want to talk a little bit about inclement weather, if something extreme should happen, because it does happen. Like this weekend, they're like, I got a message from a former bride who's in Wisconsin. They're under a blizzard watch. I mean, everything is terrible. She was asking how we were. So I'd love to touch on that a little bit, but I will say that personally, we are fine. This place that we're in, this current place that we're living, is like the house is built like a fortress. It is very solid, and we happen to be like up on a hill and away from all the water runoff, so we don't have any flooding, and there's no giant trees in the yard. So anyway, we've been very lucky, but I'd like to touch on that a little bit.
I've been thinking about you, been hearing about the storms, and it's kind of funny that many times we've gotten together, we talked about weather and those concerns on the beach, and many of the things that you say, many times you say, not really a concern. Might have a little sprinkle. It's rare, but there's a bonus with that. Typically, you see a rainbow, freshens up the air. It's not really a concern. Like, by and large, where you choose these wedding spots, that's kind of how it rolls. So to hear about this storm, I was like, what? And like the biggest storm since the early 1950s to hit that area in Hawaii. This is just what I want to say here. It doesn't happen often. It's an anomaly, but it happens, Yeah. And look at the rest of the country. There were warnings in about 7 states, including Wisconsin, all of the areas where they were saying don't go by the window because of the high winds. It's been a wacky winter of weather. Did you have any weddings booked this weekend?
Well, I mean, this is why I feel very thankful. I had no weddings booked this week, and I was kind of like a miracle. Actually, I feel like, knock on wood, I've been so lucky. Like anytime we've had some kind of crazy storm, I haven't had a wedding. And I just feel very fortunate that way. But this particular storm, there's been flooding downtown, a couple of roofs on some businesses downtown collapsed, the harbor is a mess. It's been a really severe storm because Kona, the Kona coast on the Big Island is situated, it's on the dry side of the island. We typically, in a big hurricane, we're protected by the mountains that are on. So between the east side and the west side of the island, we have all these mountain ranges, which slow storms down and keep them at bay. So typically, and storms usually they come down the mountain chain, and we're the last to get them, and we usually just don't get them. This, however, is called a Kona low, which, because I guess I don't know why, but anyway, we knew we knew we were probably gonna get something, and it really has wreaked some havoc for us. But it is so rare. Again, it is the worst storm that the whole state has seen, and people say this is the worst storm that they remember in, I mean, forever, which means that it doesn't happen very often. We do not, the reason people get married over here on the Kona side is because it tends to be dry. And even this is not that bad, right? It's not that bad. I mean, there's been a lot of damage, and things will be cleaned up because they always do get cleaned up. But it's not like people aren't here still. It's not like people are scared for their lives or whatever. I mean, it's, it's a, it's, 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 it's just something that I feel very thankful to live on this particular part of the island. And usually, with the exception of this week, usually I can tell people don't look at your weather app. Doesn't matter whether it says there's a chance of rain. It's usually like 1 hour at 2 p.m. and then the rain stops and it's fine. Usually that's how our weather comes through. You might get rain, but it is not going to last.
Mm.
Uh, so that's why it's typically, this is just the sunny side of the island. That's why it's so ideal to have weddings here. And I will say March is like not my favorite season. It's kind of iffy. If you like snorkeling, it's not the best time for snorkeling. Like it could be great or it could be enormous waves. We tend to get a lot of kind of little storms in this time of year. It's the beaches are not back, and what I mean by that is in the winter, because we have bigger waves, the sand disappears at a lot of our beaches and it leaves a lot of rocks. And as the summer comes on, the waves bring all the sand back and then we have our sandy beaches. So it's just kind of a funny time. This is like a transition time. So I mean, I always feel like if you can choose, start like late April and go through October, early November are the best times. It doesn't mean it's not great the other times of year. I just feel like those tend to be reliably better weather times, but it is always nice in Hawaii, with the exception of this week. And it's not even that cold. It's a little
Mm.
bit cold, but it's like 70, which is not cold. So,
We've had couples on who you facilitated their wedding, and a few of them mentioned, we had a little sprinkle. I don't think I would ever hear a bride say, "Yeah, it was really great." That there was a sprinkle, because it's not a big deal. It's so funny. I just got a notification. I'm in New York that there's a tornado watch issued across New Jersey right now. Not even kidding.
that's correct.
It's in real time.
Yeah.
It's wacky winter weather going on here. So the consideration here is expected not to rain or there be challenging weather. That's probably going to be the case. What would you say in terms of scale of 1 to 10? 10, not even 10 being a factor of weather. Where would you be sitting here? Like a 2? We'd be concerned about the
Oh,
weather in
yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah. And also, I tell my couples, like, please don't worry. Like, if something crazy happens, like if I had had a wedding this week, I would have taken care of them. We would have figured it out. We would have done, uh, we would have rescheduled if we could. We could, if it was safe, we could have gone to, inside and done it inside. Like I always say to my couples, like, I'm going to work with you. We'll figure it out. It's not like I'm going to be like, too bad. Like that's not how I am. I do my best to try and always work it out with people. But I usually tell people like, really, it's just not something you need to worry about in general.
Mm.
Um,
So that
yeah.
all being said, you make that decision to go to Hawaii for your wedding. You're going for a reason. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's tropical. You could go to the Caribbean, but there's a reason you're intentional about Hawaii. The culture, Polynesian, unlike anywhere you're going to find, pretty much. Um,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you can do with your wedding that keep that culture intact within the wedding, or just so it still has that flavor to it?
Yeah, and it's funny, by the way, Steve, I can tell that you were in New York, in that East Coast area, because West Coast people do not think of the Caribbean as much because it's far away for them. So East Coasters are always think of the Caribbean,
Interesting.
coastal tropical islands, right? The further west you go, the more Hawaii becomes like more regular because it's very close.
Sure.
So when I moved to California, like practically everybody had been to Hawaii that I met. And being from the East Coast originally, it was always a dream of mine, but I had never been because I knew like a couple people that had gone to Maui when I was growing up. But most of the time, that was like a pipe dream. Like people didn't go because it's just a long flight and it's far away and it's just. Um, so in any case, it's funny the number of couples that I talk to when I talk to them about the ceremony, and I say, usually I perform this ceremony. Um, or if they want to have like an uncle or a dad or somebody's going to perform the wedding for them. And I said, well, I can add in the Hawaiian elements. I do that often. If most, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm performing the wedding. But if they do have somebody that they really want to have perform the wedding, I offer to add in the Hawaiian elements. But a lot of couples are like, I hadn't even thought about that. Gee, that sounds really cool. Oh, I'd really love that. Um, And because I feel like the reason one comes to Hawaii to get married is not, like you say, not just the tropical feeling, not just the beach, but because of the culture. And if people are coming this far, I mean, even if you're coming from the West Coast, it's still a 5.5 to 6.5 hour flight. It's not like it's 1 hour,
Right.
like it's a trek. Um, you want to make it worth it for them. And you want to make it special for them. You want to bring in a little bit of flair. Um, and I think it was last week we were kind of talking about I had brought in some I just recently married a couple and I brought in some Jewish traditions for them. Just like we can bring in your traditions, we try and combine them or add them to it. So the ceremony itself that I like to do is it's things you'll recognize, but then there are some sprinkling of Hawaiian elements to really bring you present to a sense of place. There's the lei exchange. I have people hold a lava rock wrapped in a tea leaf. There's a Hawaiian ring blessing. Um, and it's funny because the Hawaiian elements, and I blow the conch shell at the start of the ceremony. The Hawaiian elements, though, they're not cheesy, at least the way I do them. They're not cheesy, they're not kitschy, they're really meant to bring you present to being in Hawaii. And they really are significant and um, they have a lot of meaning. And I always tell the meaning, I share the meaning during the ceremony so everybody understands what's happening, why it's important. I always say to my couples too, like, hey, if you really want to know what they mean beforehand, I'm happy to tell you. It's not a secret, but most people like to be surprised. And most couples say, I'd rather be surprised and have it experience it in the moment. By the way, though, like I was, if if there is like a really anxious bride or somebody or a groom who just needs to know all the details, again, I will share everything with them. So it's not like they don't. It's part of the reason I'm not saying it here is because almost like I don't want to ruin the specialness of that, but but the point is to really keep the spirit of that, the um, kind of keep the spirit of Hawaii alive in your ceremony. Also, of course, we have ukulele players. I've had hula dancers if people really want that as well. Hula dancers are a little more rare. I would say that people don't typically do that, but I've had a couple of great weddings where we've had some hula dancers. And in fact, we had this one wedding, Steve, where the couple was really, really late to their ceremony. And they had a hula dancer. So the hula dancer taught everybody a
Oh,
dance. And so when the couple arrived, everyone did the dance for the couple when they arrived. The couple actually ended up they got a speeding ticket on the way to
oh
their
my
wedding. They were
gosh.
late.
How do you make that? How do you,
And so
you tell
I
a
made
cop, you don't understand. We're going to our wedding.
They
Wow.
did. And it was really, but they made it and it was fine. But I felt so glad that we had the hula dancer there and she is a pro. She used to be, so I have this family of musicians and hula dancers. They used to live next door to us and they're the people that I call whenever I need somebody. So they send an ukulele player. It might be them, it might be one of their team. And the hula dancers, like the wife of this guy who owns the company, she is such an amazing hula dancer. She was a hula dancer. She's such a pro too. It was great. So it all worked out well. But yeah, it can be,
Did the couple get the ticket?
they did. They got the ticket,
Well,
believe it or not.
here's my thought about that. Okay. If it was in the States and they were going to their wedding, they would be dressed a certain way. I'm guessing also, yeah, maybe you're a little more casual for this type of wedding. So I'm not saying the cop didn't believe them, but you might not know right away just because they're dressed, but not dressed as for a traditional wedding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And this was a gay couple. So the guys, I can't remember, I don't think they were in suits, but they had like really nice outfits on, but
Yeah,
it wasn't like they were a bride in a giant wedding dress
that's my
where
point. Yeah.
it would be obvious. Yeah, so it was even harder for them. I felt so bad. But they did make it in time. It was gorgeous. It turned
Cool.
out great. And we actually at that time, sometimes we have an hour on the beach, sometimes we have an hour and a half, sometimes two, depending on how many photos they have, how many people they have. And I think we had an hour and a half, so it worked out well because this was a sunset. Uh, we were timing the photos and things for the sunset, but it worked out just fine. So
Talking
yeah,
about hula dancer and vendors,
yeah.
do couples ever bring their own vendors from the mainland? Has that ever happened?
Rarely. Yes, it does happen. Occasionally, someone will bring a photographer that they really
Okay.
love. I usually encourage them. I wouldn't say not to, but if you hire someone, I mean, of course, I know all the people, I work with a lot of people that live here. I even encourage people to stick with this island. There are lots of photographers all over, but if you hire a photographer from another island, they don't know the beach.
Hmm.
They don't
The
always
sun,
know
the angle, the
everything,
wind.
right? Everything's a little different. Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. Um, have you ever included family members who can't travel to Hawaii to the wedding? Have like zoomed them in or anything like
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah. So we've done FaceTime many a time. Like a family member will have, grandma on Zoom or an elderly parent or an aunt who really wants to see the wedding. So they'll FaceTime them in or we do occasionally someone will set up like a Facebook group so they can watch it live. Um,
Hmm.
but I always make sure that that is a private group. It can't be public, like open to everybody in the world.
Sure, sure.
So, like an invitation only kind of thing. But yeah, we do that. But I would say FaceTiming somebody or like a Zoom is pretty common.
I
Yeah.
was having a conversation with somebody last week about Hawaii, where you are, and I was trying to describe it because I got it wrong previously. You're not the Big Island, or are you?
We are.
You
So
are the Big Island.
Hawaii, the island of Hawaii is called the Big Island. So the actual name of the island is Hawaii. The state is Hawaii, and that includes Maui and Oahu and Kauai and Lanai and then Molokai and Niihau. Niihau, I can't even say that one. Niihau. So and that island, by the way, no one can go there unless you're 100% Native Hawaiian, I believe. But
Well,
the other islands are, um, that's called the Forbidden Island. There's a whole separate thing about that that's pretty cool, actually. But regardless, but we are the island of Hawaii, which is the nickname is the Big Island because it is literally the biggest island in the whole Hawaiian chain. And but we are not the most populous island. So
hmm,
Oahu is where Honolulu is. That's where the Pearl Harbor is. That's where the North Shore is. All that kind of stuff. So that's Oahu, and of course they have the most people there. That's where the big city is. But the Big Island is the largest in landmass. We have the active volcano. We have 10 of the 12 world's climates on this island. Um,
bigger is better.
yeah, it's pretty cool. We have a lot more space. There is a lot of
Yeah.
like sort of empty space on this island too. So it's pretty cool.
Is there a certain time of the year, like you say, this time of the year or lately, maybe with the storms coming through, it's a little chilly, 70s. Um, is there a best time of year for the beach island beach wedding on the Big Island?
I think like I mean, I feel like okay, it depends on what you like to do. But if you like to snorkel and swim in addition to having great weather for your wedding, any of the summer months, May through October, I would say it's just great weather typically. So that's summer here too. We still are on this side of the equator, the northern hemisphere, just we're so close to the equator. But because in the summer we tend to have the water is calmer. So this is not good. It's typically, unless we have a big storm, it's not good surfing weather. So if you're a surfer, you want to come in the winter. But otherwise, um, all the flowers are in bloom typically in the summertime, like any kind of flower. As we move toward winter, depending on how warm the weather is, um, there are fewer flowers. We have flowers year round, but there are fewer flowers in the winter. The weather can be a little iffy. We get a little bit more rain in the winter time. Um, again, the beaches, some of the beaches, not the beaches I use for weddings, by the way, but some of our beaches lose the sand. There's this one beautiful beach called Kua Bay. It is this beautiful white sandy beach. It's so idyllic. But in the winter, like right now, the storms take all the sand away, so it's very rocky. And there's small, sometimes there's no beach at all. It's just like rocks. And sometimes it's like small slivers of sand. And then it comes back, it rolls back on in the summer. And then it's this long white sandy beach. Well, I shouldn't say long. It's not that long, but it's a white sandy beach. It's so beautiful. Um, so anyway, so I would say sort of like the ideal times are like May or April-ish. Again, we can have 82-degree perfect weather in January or February. It doesn't mean you won't, but it's the rarer days than there are consistently sort of in the long summer months.
How far in advance should you plan your Hawaiian wedding? And to your memory, what's the least amount of time that somebody has hit you up and said, hey, we're traveling there. I want to get married. What do you got?
Okay, so most time I only book weddings a year out because I feel like a lot of people won't book more than a year out. There's a lot of things we can't do more than a year out. So I just say a year in advance. And then the shortest amount of time, I've had people call me in the morning who want to get married that day. And if I have time, if they can get their marriage license, I will do it. I will help them figure it out. So, yeah, it has been done. And it's a little hectic, but it's really fun. And it's, I did have one couple call me in the morning. They were flying out at, I think, 4 p.m. And because I know the marriage license agents, I was able to say, hey, can you get this person in really fast? And then we had it like right before they went to the airport and it worked out. So
I'm getting anxiety just hearing that. Like just thinking about, the scramble. It's like so funny. Couples who plan their weddings at 10 a.m. can be married by 4 p.m. on the beach. like wow.
Yeah, and I will say though that it is I encourage you not to do that. But if you are like a super spontaneous couple, if I can help you make it happen, I will help you make it happen.
If anybody's going to help them make it happen, it's going to be you, Becky. There's no doubt. But it's the truth. With your experience, your connections, vendors, and all of that, even like right down to the connections with the marriage license, which, if I remember correctly, you telling previously that you need to be in person for that. Some municipalities don't require you to be in person. This, you got to be there. And they have business hours too and all of that, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. You have to, we do have one marriage license agent now who sees couples. So we have, they're all independent agents that are here in Hawaii. And any island, by the way, if you happen to be in another island first, you can get your marriage license in Maui and bring it to the Big Island. It's all the same state, of course, right? So it's not island specific, it's state specific, but they're all independent. So they work from their home office or some places work from a hotel. So there are people that work from the hotels. But we have a lot of independent home office agents, and one of them now takes nighttime appointments and the weekends. So we do have a couple people now that have filled this big gap where it doesn't have to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Wow.
So
I had no idea. So these couples would most likely or possibly be going to somebody's home to get their license. Oh, wow. Okay. It's almost like a notary. When you need to get something notarized, some
That's
people
right.
do it from home, some people do it at the bank. Becky, best way for somebody to connect with you if they've got questions, if they're pondering Hawaii for a wedding, what do they do?
I would say go to my website first, which is simplekonabeachweddings.com. That is the best way to get a hold of me. And I mean, my phone number's on there, but I feel like with the time zones and all that stuff, can be a little awkward. So I always say, fill out the contact form on my site. Obviously look around first. And then I will send you an email with a link to my calendar. We'll set up a Zoom so that we can chat. And that way it's all, all set and coordinated and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I'm going to say this, Becky, you don't have to listen, but the couples I've spoken to that have chosen you, and there's hundreds, but I've spoken to, a handful or whatever, they all say the same thing. The moment we spoke with Becky, on the phone or on a video, we knew right away, we're good, we're done. And they could have spoken with other people prior. As soon as they got you on the phone or there's a connection there, they are connected and you're taking care of their wedding. And it shows in the reviews, not just on your website, but all major wedding websites, The Knot, etc. Because you're phenomenal at what you do. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much, Steve. Thanks. Have a great day.
It's the truth. I speak facts. All right. We'll talk soon. And be careful with the storms. Hopefully you're done with that now, right?
I hope so. We're having a lot more rain this week, but I think the major part of it has gone away. So we should be okay.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.